A while ago, I visited my son in Texas. We went to the missions in San Antonio, and I made a video about that. I thought I should also make one about California missions since I live in California. If you have not yet watched that one and are interested, I'll leave the link down below. Feel free to check it out. The history of the missions in California is a fascinating and complex story of religious ambition, colonization, and cultural transformation. In 1769, under order of the Spanish king, sea and land expeditions arrived at San Diego. The king sent military troops and Franciscan missionaries to the new land to colonize the territory. Franciscan missionaries built 21 missions along El Camino Real by California coast and were spaced 30 miles apart roughly, which was within 1 day of ride on horseback between missions. Spain built missions in California in such a systematic way was to convert Native Americans to Christianity. Spain also used church as training center to teach indigenous people Spanish and European customs, so to integrate indigenous people into colonial society, often replacing their own traditional one. Missions were designed to be self-sustaining agricultural communities powered by indigenous labor. They also supported the nearby military garrisons with surplus goods. With the mission community, Spain can secure their territorial claims against Russia and Britain. Spain started building the missions from 1769 to 1823. The struggle began in 1821 when Mexico gained independence from Spain and took over California. Support from the missions declined and the missions began to deteriorate. 1833, Mexican government eventually secularized the missions. Mission lands redistributed to private owners and native populations lost land, protection, and resources. That was California mission history in a few minutes. Next, I plan to introduce each individual mission, so sit back and relax. Let's start with Mission Carmel in this video. As mentioned earlier, the missions were founded by Franciscan missionaries, especially Father Junipero Serra. The earliest 9 out of 21 missions were established under Father Serra's administration between 1769 and upon Father Serra's death in 1784. Mission Carmel's full name is Mission San Carlos Borromeo de Carmelo. It was the second built among the 21 missions of California and the Father Serra's favorite. From the standpoint of government, Mission Carmel was the most important, serving as the headquarters of the entire mission chain from 1770 to 1803. Father Serra oversaw the planning of each mission from here. The mission was secularized in 1834, and then the land was sold, and the mission was neglected for 30 years until restoration began in 1884, bringing it back to its early beauty. Mission Carmel was made a minor basilica by Pope John XXIII in 1960. Father Junipero Serra is known as the Apostle of California and the founding father of the California missions. Saint Pope John Paul II beatified Serra in 1988. Serra was canonized as a saint of the Catholic Church by Pope Francis during his official visit to the United States on September 23, 2015, at National Shrine of Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. Immediately after the entrance is the front court. It has outdoor memorials, historic statues, and a garden. This is the Mission Carmel Basilica Church. I can't help noticing the star window above the door is lopsided, but I would imagine the tools back then were not advanced, so the positioning might not be precise. The current basilica was the restoration during 1880s. Mexico took over California in 1821 after the Mexican War and secularized the mission in 1833. The church was abandoned till 1848 when California was ceded to the United States and the Catholic Church regained control, but by then the mission has deteriorated significantly. The preservation efforts began in 1880. The basilica is not as grand as those in Europe, but based on the resources at hand during the time it was built, it is pretty good. From here you enter Our Lady of Bethlehem Chapel. Carved in 15th century Spain, Our Lady of Bethlehem statue is the oldest statue of Mary in California and the second oldest in the United States. This life-size statue accompanies San Junipero on his journey to the nearby Monterey in 1768. Interestingly, Our Lady stands 5 feet 2 inches tall, mirroring the height of the San Junipero himself. Another significant historical moment of this chapel was the Pope John Paul II prayed in front of Our Lady of Bethlehem during his visit Mission Carmel in 1987. The apse, while not as magnificent as those in European cathedrals, it is still grand and solemn. Here is also the resting place of Father Junipero Serra. In 1943, Father Serra's remains were exhumed for archaeological and canonical purposes. Unearthed from a redwood coffin, the remains were identified and then placed in a new copper coffin, which was then sealed with canonical markings and reinterred in the original grave. Remnants of the coffin were placed in the reliquary. When Serra's body was exhumed, a Caravaca cross was found resting in his chest. The cross became one of the most significant artifacts of California's colonial missionary history. The Caravaca cross, also known as La Vera Cruz, is a double-bar cross with a shorter crossbar on top and a longer one below, and is a powerful symbol of faith and protection, especially within Catholic tradition. It is believed to have originated in Caravaca de la Cruz, Spain, where it is said to have been miraculously delivered by angels. The cross is often worn as pendant or placed in homes for spiritual protection and healing. The church museum said that the cross exhumed with Sarah's body is on display, but couldn't find it. Finally, I found one on the altar. It looked a lot like its photo in the museum's archives. I wonder if this is it. It would be a regret if this is not the real one. But there's a much larger Caravaca cross inspired by Serra's cross for his canonization. California artists Marie-Rose Jelicic and Reverend Ronald Schmitz collaborated to create this exquisite piece. The reliquary incorporates Serra's relics and an image of Virgin Mary, honoring the saint's devotion. We came to the central courtyard. This is a monument came from the Institute of Hispanic Culture of Madrid in commemoration of the missionary labors of Spain in California. The iconic Mission Fountain. This monument is dedicated to those who helped to restore the mission. The bell is the original bell from the original bell tower in 1820. Serra Memorial Prayer Garden. Next to the basilica is the cemetery. Here bury a few individuals who play a significant role in the history of Carmel Mission and the surrounding community. Most interesting is a person called O. Gabriel. According to his tombstone, he was 151 years old when he died. He was baptized by Father Serra. He was a stonecutter and mason and contributed significantly to construction of the Mission Carmel. He married 7 wives, 5 of them in the mission. He outlived all of them. There is a conventual museum in the mission. Among the displays are artifacts and the recreation of living situations. These are instruments used by the mission band. The sheet musics are so big, but I guess it has to. If the choir is sharing sheet musics, it had to be large enough for everyone to see it. Here are some tools for farming. This was California's first library founded by Father Serra. It was to be served as a religious and administrative archive. The books contained liturgical books, catechisms, and Bibles in Latin, Spanish, and native languages, and instructional materials for missionaries. This displayed the kitchen back then. This is the grand sala, or formal reception room of the mission. The staircase to the conventual attic allowed the upstairs to be utilized as additional guest rooms during conventual chapter meetings of Franciscan missionaries. Many of the furnishings and the terracotta flooring here are original. It is said that Father Sarah's personal Bible is in this room. I think it is the one on the desk. This room illustrates a typical Padres bedroom around 1810. By this time in the mission's history, furniture began to arrive from Great Britain and the east coast of the United States. The room and the furnishing look pretty decent. But during the lifetime of Father Sarah, the living conditions were harsh in general. This can be seen looking at Father Sarah's room here. Throughout his life, Junipero Serra devoted his life in missionary work in California, introducing Christianity, European agriculture, and Spanish governance to indigenous populations. His contributions are seen by the Catholic Church as symbol of courage, perseverance, and missionary zeal. And because of this, he was canonized as a saint by Pope Francis on September 23, 2015, during a special mass at the Basilica of National Shrine of Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. This was the first canonization ever to take place on U.S. soil. But there's always controversy. Indigenous groups have pointed out there were forced conversions, cultural suppression, and harsh discipline within the mission system, and Sarah's legacy is intertwined with colonialism and erosion of native Californian lifeways. But this is nothing new. The history always repeats itself. When the regime changes, the new government likely wants to reduce or even eliminate the influence from the old controlling party. And unfortunately, this sometimes involves taking extreme measures. At the end, I leave you with this. Junipero Serra's sainthood honors his faith and endurance, but understanding his legacy means listening to both prayers echoing through the mission Carmel and the silence left by the people who once lived freely on this land. His story is not just one to admire or condemn, but to explore, question, and never forget. And that's it for today. If you like this episode, remember to like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you next time.